All right, guys, good morning. All right, guys, good morning. It is Wednesday. Is it Wednesday morning? All right, guys, good morning. It is Wednesday morning. Last night I found a roadside pullout to camp on towards Liard River. I don't think I filmed anything last night because I just found this pullout and got camp set up and then got caught up on some things like chatting with family and stuff like that. So didn't film anything last night, but this morning it is 6:40. I got up about 25 minutes ago. Just about got the trailer packed up and ready to go. Still got to put my computer away and put the slide in and stuff. So I thought I'd show you guys what camp looks like and then show you the process of packing up the trailer and getting it ready to go. Alright guys, sorry if you can hear the trucks outside. I waited for about 10 minutes to see if they would leave and they haven't yet, so I need to get moving. But first thing I do is I make my bed and then I actually put a couple of things on the bed for travel day. So that's my computer monitor that I'll use at the dinette for work. And then I also put the TV up here because one thing I've read, and swing you guys around, one thing I've read from the owner's forum is that this TV mount can sometimes pull out of the wall as you go down the road. So it's easy enough just to lift the TV off of there. So I take the TV off every day and put it on the bed over here. And then I store like my emergency sleeping bag and my laptop there and my laptop bag that's got my work laptop and some other stuff in it. So that's the first thing I do. And then I clear off the dinette. If I was sitting there yesterday, you can see I got my little weather station out. And let me pop that light on for you. It is currently 56 degrees in here. That's 56 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a gloriously not overcast day. Well, it's slightly overcast actually. You can see the clouds better in the camera than you can in person. That's cool. So yeah, I just gotta get everything finished getting packed up and put away. I clean up anything that was on the sink. And then what I have to do is rearrange some of the rugs and move my trash can up onto the slide because then I gotta bring the slide in. But one thing I do when the slide is in is I have these little yoga blocks, little foam blocks right here, and I have one for each side. So when the slide is all the way in, it can bounce up and down because the only thing that's holding it is the tension against the wall when it's in. And so what a lot of people do is they will work up like some sort of furniture stand to help keep the slide from bouncing. But another popular option is these yoga blocks. So you can see I've got the one on the far side and then one right here. So what I'll do is I'll flip this rug up and out of the way. And then when I bring the slide in, I will wedge the yoga block underneath the front edge of the slide. So let's go ahead and do that now. Alright, now I've got everything ready to bring the slide in. So the slide controls are just over here on this panel. So I just gotta push the slide in button and we'll bring her in. Alright, just like that, the slide is in. I'm going to go wedge in the far side block and then I'll show you the close side. Alright, I have no idea if you guys are going to be able to see this or not. But basically I just get this block and just kind of wedge it in on the slide right there. And you can see it just holds up the edge of the slide, helps keep it from bouncing. Alright, that's pretty much it for the inside of the trailer. The last thing I got to do is take this tablet down because I don't have it right up there while I'm driving. And then turn off all the lights and then we'll move to the outside. Speaking of the tablet, you can see here that overnight I am down to 71%. I'm already bringing in solar from the roof solar panels, so that's nice. But this was just, last night I ran the microwave to cook some dinner, and I recharged the power station that runs the Starlink in the truck. And then the Starlink was running all night, and then there's always some DC loads because of the little computer that runs the system this tablet is talking to, and a few other things. So 30%, 29% overnight with those kinds of loads, I'm pretty happy with that. And then I've also, like I've said before, I got my generator along with me just in case. All right, the truck's finally left, so I can show you camp for last night. So there is the truck and trailer. I did have to unhook the trailer to get it level, but that's fine. The truck didn't move, so it should drop right back down. But yeah, just on this roadside pullout near the Liard River. Pretty nice morning. It's a little cool, like I showed. It's like 55 degrees, a little overcast. It's rather humid actually, as well. Yeah, just a little roadside pullout. All right, so I brought the slide in. So the next thing I'm going to do is put the steps up and get the door locked, and then raise the stabilizers and hook the trailer back up to the truck. Okay, these are the, I think they're by Ride. They're the stable step, I think. That's what they're called. Oh, Step Above by Ride. There you go. So those just fold up and sit like that. And close the door. And then this is a cool little keypad lock that I installed by Nice. I don't know how to pronounce it. But there you go, door's locked now. Alright, one thing I loved about this trailer is it has power stabilizing jacks. So all I have to do is push these two buttons, one for each side, and the jacks will come up. So it's a little bit unintuitive actually, because up is down and down is up on the switches. So when you want to retract them to bring them up, you got to push down. And when you want to extend them to put them down, you got to push up. It's weird. All right, and there's both sides of the rear. And both sides of the front. All right, as you can see here, I also have this blue extension cord running from the 110 outlet on the side of the trailer to the back of the truck. That is for the power station that is powering the Starlink. So I plugged that in last night and it recharged the power station and then also ran the Starlink overnight. So I got to pack that back up and then we'll be ready to hook the trailer back up to the truck. All right, and just like that, we're all hooked up. Oh, we're ready to go. Look at how gross the front of my trailer is. So many bug splatters. Yikes. All right, last thing to do is to give it a quick walk around. I always check all the lights, make sure everything looks good. All the lights are working. So we got marker light there. We've got marker lights working up there. The rear marker lights are good. I've got to get these chocks out of here before I leave. Don't let me forget. Everything is blinking. The marker lights are all working. That one's on. Everything's blinking on the truck. That marker light's on. So there's that one. All right, I think we're good. Let's get those chocks out and put away, and we'll get on the road. Here we go. Also turns out I left this unlocked all night. Oh no, someone could have stolen all my stuff. We got wood bison. I'm not gonna stop, nor am I gonna count all of the wood bison that we're gonna see along here, but we'll stop for these two because they're right next to the highway. You got one down there, and then one right up here on the road. There's one thing you can count on seeing on this stretch of the highway, it is wood bison. They are always along the highway through here. As the U.S. National Park Service says, don't pet the fluffy cows because they will hurt you if they want to. All right, we just passed the Liard. I don't know how it's pronounced properly. We just passed the Liard River Hot Springs. Did not stop. Had actually never stopped there. Maybe I'll try and stop there on the way back. But right now I've got a really long drive day ahead of me, so I don't want to take the time to stop and visit the hot springs, so I'll try and do it on the way home. Boy, it's a little foggy. Wasn't expecting this. I'm not going to get much production out of my solar panel that runs the Starlink today. It's really foggy now, guys. Slow down a little because you never know if there's gonna be bison on the road. Any beefaloes. Yeah, this is fun. I don't know if this is fog or just straight up cloud. It's fog is cloud. Heading into IMC. It doesn't look nearly as bad on the camera screen as it does in person, but this fog is no joke. Especially, like I said, there might be beefalo on the highway at any point along through here. Alright guys, pulled over to use the restroom and thought that I would come see what this is about because I saw this little monument over here. Got some picnic tables, some old benches that have seen better days. Looks like somebody had a fire here at some point. And this monument is dedicated to the surveyors of the Alaska Highway. Their skill and dedication made construction of this route possible. Erected on the 18th day of May, 1997. And if those little trees weren't there, we'd have a pretty decent view. But also the mosquitoes are unreal, so I'm not gonna hang out here too long. Woo! Mosquitoes were not bad over here by the trailer, but man, over there by the benches, they are swarming. Alright fam, I had my microphone down on the center console on accident, so I have no idea how the sound is going to be on that last clip. But just to recap, we are now at the point of the Alaska Highway where we dip in and out of the Yukon and British Columbia, just going back and forth across the border until eventually we get into the Yukon permanently right before Watson Lake. So yep, welcome to the Yukon. In fact, according to the map, we just crossed over the border between the provinces again. So, welcome to Yukon. Got about 45 minutes until we get to Watson Lake. Alright, this is Contact Creek. You can get gas here if you want. I'm not going to, so I'm going to slightly disobey my rule that says half a tank and you fill up. Because as you can see down here, I am at just under half a tank. But the reason I'm disobeying that is I know that I have plenty of gas to get to Watson Lake, which is only 65 kilometers away. So I'm just going to wait to get gas until then, and if worse comes to worse, I've got 7 gallons of gas in the back of the truck. But I know, at least for this part, I've got plenty of gas to get to Watson Lake, so I'm not gonna get gas back there. Check it out. We got baby beefaloes. There's a few wood bison right through here. Not sure how many, because there's some back in the trees there. But we got the babies. Alright, we're done with the bouncing back and forth between the Yukon and British Columbia. We are now officially in the Yukon full time until we get to Alaska. Watson Lake's in 12 miles, so we're going to be stopping there to get gas, but meantime I'm going to stop here and use this restroom. Pray for me, and the mosquitoes are probably going to be bad. Alright, let's walk over here and see what this information booth is all about. I don't know that I've ever stopped here to read what these signs say. And this one's just the Yukon saying, if you're tired, please pull over. Good advice. It's information about the 60th parallel. And here is all of the stops that you can do along the Alaska Highway, or if you're going to take the north one out of here, Highway 4. Alright, and I do take it back. We do dip back down into British Columbia a little bit further down the highway, so I forgot about that little part. Some information about life north of the 60th parallel, which is most of Alaska also. Information about the First Nations people. Even more. Let you guys pause the video if you want to read the signs. Once again, I have made a grave error and not put on any bug repellent, so the skeeters are eating me up right now. More information about the First Nations from this area. And looks like about Dawson. All right. Well, that's fun. Anyway, my favorite part about being in the Yukon is they've got these rest areas a lot more frequently than in British Columbia, and they always have bathrooms, and they're kept up pretty well. So thanks, Yukon, for being more hospitable with your services than British Columbia is on the highway. All right, guys. Just got gas at the convenience store here in town, which is right across the street from the Signpost Forest. It's a pretty popular place. I usually stop here just to kind of wander around, you know, look at all the signs and all the license plates and things that people have left over the years. I know some people that have left signs here, but I have no idea where they are, and I'm not going to wander around the couple of acres that are here looking for them. Wander down into this lower section. There's a picnic table if you wanted to have a picnic here. Yeah, Watson Lake Signpost Forest. That used to be the visitor center, but they've moved it across the street now, so don't know what they're using that building for anymore. Signs from all over the world. Even the trees are not immune to having signs put on them. Nor is the garbage can. Let's wander up to the top of the hill here. You can see there's even more signpost forest going that way. This is probably the highest point in the whole signpost forest. Yeah, it just keeps going and going and going that way. Pretty cool. All right, walking back to the trailer and the truck. And we'll head further on down the road. Currently 10:30 in the morning, and I want to make it, I'm going to try and make it to Lake Kluane tonight and camp in the campground. Let's see how far that is. I think it's another 8 or 9 hours. So we'll see if we make it. All right, guys, it's a couple hours after the last clip. It's time for a story. So about an hour or so outside of Watson Lake, and I come around the corner on the highway,
and there's a little Chevy pickup truck towing a little Sunlight single axle trailer parked halfway into the lane with its hazards on. And so I slowed down, and I could see that there was a wheel chock and some tools out, but I didn't see anybody working. So I pulled over about 100 feet up the road, maybe 200 feet, and got out, started walking back, and this older, heavy-set gentleman gets out of the cab of the pickup truck, and I asked him if there was anything wrong, and turns out his right front tire has a quarter-size hole in it. That tire is done. But he had a flat tire, and he said he'd been sitting there for almost an hour, and nobody had stopped to check on him. Fortunately, he was traveling with his sister. His sister was in a separate vehicle with her own trailer, and she had turned around to go back to Watson Lake to get some help. The point is that he sat there on the side of the road, partially in the lane, for an hour while countless cars drove by in both directions, and nobody stopped to check on him, which I find severely disappointing in my fellow travelers on the Alaska Highway. So I figured out how to get his spare tire down, and he, like I said, he was over 70. He didn't say how old he was. Just told me that he retired at 70 recently, and this was his retirement trip, so he's probably close to 70. And couldn't get down on the ground to look at things, so I got his spare tire dropped, and got the bottle jack out, and we changed his tire. And fortunately, I had proper size sockets to get on his lug nuts, because it turns out that he didn't have the proper size sockets. Anyway, he was just hooking up, and was going to take his dog for a walk and stuff, so he said I didn't have to stick around once I got his tire changed, but I helped him get his trailer hooked back up to his truck and stuff before I left. So yeah, now I'm dirty and irritated, not at him. I was super glad that I was able to help him, and glad that I had the proper tools with me, which I always carry in my truck. But I'm irritated at my fellow Alaska Highway travelers that nobody stopped to check on this man for an hour while he's on the side of the road. Anyway, that's my grumpy story for the day. See you on down the road. There, guys, dropping down into Teslin. This is where I'm gonna stop and get gas and maybe see if they can take a shower after changing that tire. But they're replacing the bridge down here. They were replacing it 2 years ago, and from what I've seen, they're still doing it. So got to slow down for the bridge. So now we are going to cross the bridge. So this bridge was under construction 2 years ago when I drove through here. It was just getting started. They had the pilings, or the footings, or whatever you want to call them, of the bridge down in the river, and then they hadn't started on any of the decking yet, I don't think. Well, they're getting there. Yeah, I mean, that bridge might be nicer, but it's not going to have the character that this old one does. Especially if, I don't know if you can tell, this grating is yanking my truck back and forth as we're driving down it. Again, I have to wonder why they're replacing this bridge, because it's not like this is the only bridge like this on the Alaska Highway. So it can't be, unless they're going to replace all of them like that, it can't be like a height limit or something. Who knows? Alright, I'm going to swing in here and get some gas. Alright, guys. We are just pulling into Whitehorse. We're not going to go down into town. We're going to stick to the highway and just get gas up here. And maybe some dinner. We'll see what's up here. Because yeah, I'm trying to make it to Congdon Creek Campground up on Kluane Lake tonight, which is still a couple hours away. So we're gonna get gas here, and then we're also gonna get gas at Haines Junction, just to make sure that we're fully topped off before we make the long stretch up to Tok. But we're probably also gonna have to get gas. In fact, I know we're gonna have to get gas in Beaver Creek, which is gonna be by far the most expensive gas of the whole trip. So look forward to that. Anyway, that's the plan. We'll see you when we get gas up here. All right, fam, I'll tell you about it later, but we're running a little later than I had expected. Just got gas in Haines Junction. It is currently 10 minutes after 9 o'clock. And we're gonna try and look for a couple of boondocking spots. If not, then I'll push on to the Congdon Creek Campground up by Kluane Lake. But there was a complication a while ago that set me behind almost 2 hours. I will tell you guys that story once we're all parked up for the night. Yeah, we're still driving, but it is 10 minutes after 9, and look at where the sun is in the sky. It's still up there. It's the great part about being this far north in the middle of June, just a couple days before the solstice. But also, look at those mountains up there. Gorgeous. All right, fam, it's Matt again, and it's the end of the day. Found a pull-off on the south end of Kluane Lake to park at. It was listed on iOverlander. There's quite a few people here too, and I showed up at like 10 o'clock, so I was trying to be quiet. But got the trailer all leveled and set up, and I wanted to talk to you about what happened earlier today to put me 2 hours behind, so I didn't make it to Congdon Creek Campground like I had been planning on. So I had left Whitehorse after getting gas, and I'd been drinking a lot of liquid today, and so about 30 minutes after I left Whitehorse, maybe 45 minutes, I had to stop and use the restroom. And so I found a rest area and pulled off into it, and when I parked and turned off the engine, I could hear a really loud beeping sound. And I was the only one in the parking lot, and I'm like, where is this beeping sound coming from? Sounds like it's coming from the back of the trailer. My first thought was maybe it was a piece of machinery that somebody was working with nearby, but like I said, there was nobody else around. And so I walked towards the back of the trailer, and I'm like, okay, it's definitely coming from my trailer. Maybe it's the fridge, because the fridge, when it doesn't get propane like it wants, it will beep really loudly. It's like, well, maybe it's the fridge. For some reason the propane went out or something while I was driving, but it wasn't that. It wasn't coming from where the fridge was. It was coming from where the door is. And so my next thought was the smoke alarm was going off. So I opened the door. The smoke alarm is right above the door. Here, I'll show you guys. So here's the smoke alarm, and it wasn't going off. But what was going off was this guy right down here, which is the carbon monoxide and propane gas detector. And as soon as I opened the door, I knew what the problem was. It's like I said, I was looking at the smoke detector when I opened it, but you know what propane smells like. So as soon as I opened the door, I knew it was propane, and it was the propane detector that was going off. Immediately, I took a big breath before I walked in and stuck my head in, and I have this 3-drawer plastic thing that I was keeping on the slide. It's this guy right here. So what had happened was I had hit some sort of big whoop-dee in the road, or a heave of some sort, or a big bump, because there was a few of those coming out of Whitehorse. And what it had done is it had taken that 3-drawer plastic thing, and it had slid it off of the slide, and it was leaning against the stove, and it had turned on all 3 stove knobs. So I leaned in and got the drawer thing away from the stove knobs, and I got the knobs turned off. Then I had to go back outside because I was holding my breath. And then once I was far enough, like, caught my breath, because I was holding my breath while I was in the trailer, because, you know, propane, I didn't want to breathe it in and pass out. So I got the knobs turned off, went back outside, took some big breaths, went back inside, and got all the windows open. I didn't run the slide out. I turned the refrigerator off. The slide was still in, but I opened all the windows and opened up the vent with that fan that I had replaced in a previous video, and had that running full exhaust, and all the windows open, and yeah, just let the trailer air out for an hour and a half. And by then I was feeling comfortable enough to continue on down the road, and I left the vent on exhaust for about another half hour until the next fuel stop. But anyway, the point was, I was at that rest area for close to 2 hours, and so that put me way far behind today. But learned some important lessons. Got to think about the drawer thing. So now it's going to ride the rest of the trip on the floor near next to the bathroom instead of up on the slide, and it's making me wish that this trailer had the DC compressor fridge and not the gas electric two-way. I know that the two-way is a lot more efficient with the propane. It doesn't use the power system nearly as much. But if I didn't have to run the fridge, then I could turn the propane off while I'm traveling. And that would make me feel so much better about things. But as it is right now, I don't have enough battery capacity to run this fridge off of AC, because it takes 400 watts of power to run it on AC. So I have to run it on propane, which means I'm going to have to leave the propane on. We'll see what comes of that. But that was today's adventure. Lots of lessons learned, things to avoid, things to think about now, because this is my first travel trailer, and I took it on one single shakedown trip, and then now I'm hauling it up to Alaska. So there's been lots of learning going on the last few days, as far as trailers and the trailer and unhooking and hooking and how it tows, and the process of packing up every morning and how to set it up every night. It's been a learning adventure, and it will continue to be a learning adventure. So yeah, that was the fun for today. So don't do what I did and leave something where it can fall on your propane stove and turn all 3 knobs on and fill your tiny little travel trailer with propane. Yeah, that's an end to today. Today is Wednesday, so tomorrow's Thursday, and tomorrow I should be getting to Tok no problem. I'm gonna get an early start again, and then head towards Tok. It's gonna be slow going. I heard the road is once again, as it always is, it's interesting between Destruction Bay and the border. But I've heard the Alaska side is actually worse this year. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow.